Uncensored.
Relic Outlaw broadcast system. If you hear a long beep, do not be afraid. We are not there to rape anybody. We're just making a test. Yeah. So basically, here we are. Yes, the tag team of the century. Aaron, classic gamer.
What?
What? What? And it's doing the same shit again, dude. What the fuck? I don't care. Fuck it.
What the fuck?
It's dropping frames. Whatever. I mean, at least if we got one of us is doing it.
Mine actually looks good for once.
You got a good connection. Yeah. I told you, you got a fucking fast connection. I got my shitty upload speed of like 2 megabytes, which I'm betting.
You need to move away from Puerto Rico, man.
Yeah. But that's besides the point. That doesn't even have anything to do with streaming. I have to move out of here as soon as possible.
Try a different island. Try Cuba.
I am going to ignore what you just said because that is so wrong on so many levels that I cannot begin to explain.
Oh my god. I'm just busting your balls. Did you get your shit to work or what?
Well, it's still dropping frames like a fucker. I don't know why, because it's not even a recording. It's just streaming, so... I guess Uvu is taking a lot of the bandwidth, and that's why, you know, it's kind of fucking with my stream.
I didn't even think about Uvu. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's okay. We'll keep... Remember, this is just a test, and I'll be able to see it even if it starts jumping on my side. Because that's basically what it does. It happened to me when I did the first Crisis one. I started out good, and all of a sudden I would watch the stream, the first segment, and you would see like it go like this. Well, so yeah, so I'm playing Crisis. Then you know, and you see like the jerking of the frames. That's all the frames that is dropping. So yeah, I kind of went on a tangent. I'm here. I have my. Oh shit! I just changed this. Okay, I'm back. We're making a test, Aaron, Classic Gamer, and I, because we have been thinking long and hard to make a collaboration.
Yeah, collabing.
Where we can both, you know, pitch in things that are going on in the industry, gaming industry, to be specific. And yeah, he brings his experiences, I bring in mine, and we tag team to fuck everybody up. That's basically the gist of it. Have anything to add, Aaron?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. But I don't know, man. Just here to discuss why retro.
Why retro?
Aaron, Classic Gamer, Htaed7. We're here. We're talking about why we are retro gamers.
Ah, okay.
I'm gonna have to break over here. What are you playing over there, man?
I'm playing Samurai Showdown 5, and I'm getting my ass kicked because. Ooh. There you go. Oh, so let's. I gotta put in some more quarters.
So what were we talking about earlier? We were talking about so why we retro, right? So I'm a big proponent of I like playing retro games because they're a hell of a lot cheaper.
And
I can go down to the retro store and you know, for $30-$40 I can come out with, you know, like 10 games, man.
So our first subject would be pricing. Is that what you're saying? Pricing on retro games? It makes it an advantage?
Yeah, I'm thinking on average, you know, they're a lot cheaper. You know, because they're outdated and so on and so forth.
Well, just to be an asshole, I'm going to give you my counterpoint to that. And I'm going to have to pause because right now Mina is fucking tearing me a new one with her arrow and not letting me talk. Okay.
Mina.
Pricing is something that's very... It fluctuates a lot because in terms of retro, we have certain individuals that by doing certain things, and you know a lot about this, even our friend Anthony should know a lot about this, doing some modifications and doing some stuff, you know, some weird stuff to the actual hardware that's available for us to buy and purchase. They have brought up the pricing on retro stuff, you know, substantially. It's not like 3 years...
Greatly.
3 years back where you would pick up a Sega Genesis and it would be like a standard pricing for that either used or new Sega Genesis. Now all the prices seem to be inflating. Now to add to that, when you talk about, let's say, new games, you still have the indie market. I mean, you go to Steam and you take one of those sales that is basically like 75-80% off the games, and you buy some pretty badass games for like $2 or $3. So,
but say you like consoles and you don't want to mess with the PC and all that kind of stuff, you know.
Oh, that's true.
Kind of
That
like my
that
boat.
would.
I don't really care for PC gaming that much, you know what I mean? Except for Blizzard, of course. My buddy's telling me that I geek out to Blizzard, so.
Yeah, full retard Blizzard. Yeah.
Full retard. You know, I'm just saying, you know, like the other day, I went down to the game store and I bought 4 or 5 Atari games, Atari 2600, and they were 50 cents a piece. I got 2 PS2 games, and they were $2 or $3 a piece. Bought an Xbox 360 game, I think it was $10. You know, I don't know. And I got a couple other games. I walked out with like 15 games for like $30, man. So, and they're proven classics. I know they're going to be fun. It cost me very little money. You know, I just think bang for your buck. Sometimes it's better to go retro. You know, I appreciate, you know, current consoles, but you know, on the budget-minded individual, I think, you know, still retro is the way to go, man. If you're going to be on a console anyway.
If you're going to be comparing, let's say, you know, apples to apples, and you're comparing like modern consoles to retro consoles, yeah, I have to give you that. I have to give you that. Retro is a very enticing proposal if you're tight on a budget, and you know, and you're not, and PC is not an option. Now that in itself, what you just said, you know, that you're not into PC gaming and don't care for PC gaming, makes me want to makes me want to drop a bomb over your house for some reason. But okay, I'm gonna let that one slide for the sake of the argument, you know. But yeah, it's true. Retro does offer that, you know, entry level for people who can't afford newer consoles to just go in and see what it's all about. But then again, also it can be argued that what's in place, let's say for the Microsoft console and PlayStation console, which are their respective PSN networks and Xbox Live, they do offer some kind of options in terms of, you know, cheap games that you can buy. Granted, they're not as good as the retro stuff, but you get at least something to work with. And I haven't mentioned the Wii U, the eShop. I mean, you can't go wrong. You got retro games, and they're in full quality with some new options with the gamepad. You do have some option out there, but all in all,
well, I kind of look at that as retro, though. You know what I mean? I mean, you're playing the retro games. It's still retro. You know what I'm saying? You're just playing in a newer format, as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
But the big reason why I like retro, I don't know about you, but it's definitely gameplay.
What about the gameplay?
I don't know how you feel about that.
What do you feel about the gameplay that makes it, let's say, you know, quote unquote, better than what we have now, at least in your opinion?
You know, I think just, you know, tighter controls. You're not worried about downloading, you know, DLC, trying to get your games patched and all that kind of stuff. Like right now, I'm playing Metal Slug 1. You know, it's a great game. It's finished. It's a fun game. The controls are tight. That's not something I have to worry about. It's not as complex. But still, you know, the gameplay is deep, and I keep coming back for more and more, you know?
Well, I have to agree with you there. The fact that the industry, how it is right now, where you're being nickel and dimed for every piece of new content or content that's supposed to be in the damn game to begin with when you buy it.
Well, sure.
That's
not included.
That is a major deterrent for somebody who is gaming, you know, on a budget. Because, you know, I mean, even the most recent examples, like, I don't know, I'm getting, like, really invested in the subject, and I can't fucking play with Haumaru, and I have to pause the game. Damn it. Okay, the thing is, you take, for example, games like the newest Battlefront, Star Wars. It's a...
Oh, my God, don't get me started, man.
That is a textbook basic example of how the industry is going down the shitter, because you as a company, you're asking your customer to pay full price for a game that's not complete. And the thing is that they don't deny it either. They know it. Everybody knows it. It's not a complete game. You're getting a partial game.
It's just a huge money-making scheme, man. I don't like it.
That doesn't have a single-player component like we used to have back in the day. And then on top of that, you have to pay $50 more to get some more of the game. It's not.
But the season pass is $100, man.
That's what I'm talking about. Everything is a season pass. They justify it because the cost of development is skyrocket. That's bullshit. I mean, you do have additional costs, but the way that they're doing it, they're not justifying, the development cost. What they're justifying is trying to make more money out of the same product. Same product that used to cost $50 or $60 before. So yeah, I'm straight up.
And I'm fine paying more money, but I want a complete game, man.
And that's
I want something that works. If I play one of the last Assassin's Creed game, man, I mean, it's unplayable. The glitches are horrible. Even after all the downloads and stuff, man. I mean, they're using this as an excuse to give us poor quality because they know we're going to buy it.
Yeah.
And that's just horrible, man.
And that's just basically on the DC, the DLC side of things. But let's talk about gameplay. Let's talk about gameplay right now.
Sure.
The major genres that are money makers are what? First-person shooters, to some extent, sports games, and we have a recent resurgence of at least some type of RPG.
Yeah,
now out of
some fighting games, but just the bigger, titles,
It's funny because out of the fighting games, there's no new fighting games. It's just iterations of what has been done in the past. First-person shooters are basically it has withered down to a casual gameplay. Casual, why? Because it has been watered down, the mechanics, so much, so everybody can go online, and everybody, irrelevant of their gaming skill, can get into it and start buying some more DLC and more maps and more stuff.
Sure.
In terms of gameplay, yes, I will always favor the old style over the new one because you had the challenge, you had the content. You didn't have watered down games. You didn't have so many things that really are not. I mean, single player games. Let's take 2015 for example. What were the best games out of 2015? In my opinion,
probably Witcher and.
There you go. In my opinion,
Legacy
Witcher
of the
3.
Void, StarCraft.
Okay, Witcher 3. Witcher 3 is an example of CD Projekt, a developer that is not characteristic of in any way of the industry as it is right now. I mean, they are approachable people. They listen to their fans. Fallout 4 was actually pretty good, even though it got a little bit of hate because a lot of people were expecting, the hype and the expectations were really high. And they couldn't really meet with it, and of course you always get buggy games out of the box with them for some reason. So, but in terms of gameplay, there wasn't really something innovative. There wasn't really something that would. Witcher 3, which was my favorite game of this past year, I have to admit it didn't bring anything necessarily new. It just did the regular conventions of an RPG. It did it really well. Graphics, music, story, everything really well, but it didn't exceed expectations. So yeah, we're kind of stuck in a rut in terms of innovation and new stuff.
There's no innovation at all, man. And that brings us to the next subject, man, about genres being more plentiful. This is one that I think you should talk about because you're really into the shoot 'em ups and the fighters and kind of thing that really are underrepresented now comparatively to the sports games and the first-person shooters and that kind of stuff. So
now I never tried to deny it or shy away from the fact that I am a big Nintendo, Sega, and back in the day NEC with the TurboGrafx. Yeah, I really used to root for these companies because they would always bring something new to the table.
sure.
Right now, genres, I mean, we have lost to the console wars, you know, after the PlayStation 2 on. We've lost genres, and again, I have to pause. I can't multitask today, bro. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I need my whiskey. But I can't play and talk at the same time.
See, I've got some rum right here, buddy. Just come over here. Rum and Dr. Pepper right now.
See, that's why. Because you're letting me do the talking, and you're having fun playing over there. And I'm not playing. Okay.
We're both talking.
Okay.
But you are right, man. I mean, you know, there's so many, you know, first-person shooters and that kind of thing. That there's not the great variety of games we used to have. I remember going to the store, you know, when I was younger, and there would be, you know, there's all these shoot-'em-ups, you know, vertical shoot-'em-ups, horizontal shoot-'em-ups. You still had a few first-person shooters like Wolfenstein and Doom and those kind of things, but they didn't dominate, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
But that's the funny thing. See, when back in the day, when the big companies like Nintendo and Sega and even Sony at the very beginning, when they would talk next generation, you would be like in wonder, like, oh my God, how is this gonna look in a next generation console? This is gonna be mind blowing. It's gonna blow us away. But instead, what happened was
definitely not what we did this time.
No. Contrary, they started killing off genres, like, you know, the beat 'em ups, the shoot 'em ups, the strategy games. I mean, with the exception of Nintendo, that still keeps them alive. You don't see that, and now even more so that to many people, Nintendo is not a competitor anymore. Which is to me is complete bullshit because everything that they've brought out is still good. I mean,
Yeah, but it's kind of a different audience, you know. You capture the little kids and then the hardcore Nintendo fanboys. You know, we were saying it last week. We were talking about the NX. I think it was on your live stream, and I said I don't give a shit if it works or not, or it's horrible or anything. I'm still going to buy it. You know what I mean? But that's not the mainstream. You know what I mean? And
that's something right there that's going to be an episode in itself that we're going to be doing, because that is. To me, this is like the last hope. I know it sounds a bit hyperbolic, but it's true. Because whether people like it or not, the importance of Nintendo being alive in the market is basically what's keeping us together. I know a lot of people hate on Nintendo.
The last one's innovating, man.
Yeah, I know a lot of people hate on Nintendo.
The last innovation.
They hated so much on the Wii U, and they've hated ever since the Wii came out. I know you got your reasons for it, or you feel betrayed, or this and that, but it's basically it's been exaggerated, in my opinion, because Nintendo never stopped bringing out quality content. It's just that people expected Nintendo to follow in Sony's and Microsoft's footsteps, since they didn't go to bed with third parties to get games on their system. They seem to be the bad guy, like the guy who doesn't want to play nice and doesn't want to do, you know, the good stuff for the gamers. Now tell me, if that is so true, how come are we getting screwed over with the new generation? Isn't it supposed to be the opposite? If Nintendo was this bad guy that didn't want to give us what we wanted, where is the stuff that we wanted? I mean, this generation we got, like, what, for PS4 we got Bloodborne, and we got on Xbox One we got Halo, and we got what else? I mean, there's like very few.
More rehash.
Exactly. Exactly. So we get rehash.
Forza that, you know, I mean.
Let's make a little count here.
Graphics are a little better, but it's the same game.
Let's make a little count here, Aaron. Let's make a list of the stuff that we have gotten in the new generation. We've gotten more expensive games. We've gotten more DLC. Less completed games when you go and buy them, you know, meaning that you get less and less instead of getting more and more simplified gameplay, because you cannot sit there with a straight face and tell me that the games this generation are harder than the ones back then, because I would call on your bullshit right away. I would call on it.
Well, there's a few exceptions like Ninja Gaiden, for example, but for the most part, you are very correct.
And of course, you got something. I know somebody's gonna bring out the Dark Soul card, and they would be right. That's a difficult game, but that's far in between. You know, far and few. Yeah. You know, you don't get many of those. Everything now, it's like it has to be holding you by the hand. It always have to have the typical tutorial to walk you through, because again, perception that's out there is that the hardcore gamers are like the bulk of all the gamers. That is bullshit. We only make a very small portion of the market. Yeah. What makes a system successful is the casual gamers, the millions and millions of people who usually don't buy games.
Sure. They bring all that money in, definitely.
That's it.
What makes me mad, though, is when people say hardcore gamer, man.
Yes.
Because when they say hardcore gamer, they're talking about these guys from Major League Gaming and shit that are playing these first-person shooters. But if you go down to my basement, I've got 12 fucking arcade machines all together. So you tell me who's the hardcore gamer, buddy.
I mean...
Or you look at Noel here, been playing for 30-something years. Who's the hardcore gamer? You know? Just saying.
And the irony of that is that being the hardcore gamer, we tend to gravitate, at least now, in this generation, we tend to gravitate more to the games that offer Nintendo that supposedly are catering to the casuals and the kiddies. So isn't it supposed to be the other way around? Aren't we supposed to be mad at Nintendo and buying like everything that Sony and Xbox brings out? No, it's not happening. So hopefully
I don't
later
think so,
on...
Because I, like you, go where the gameplay is, man.
Exactly. That's it. That's it.
I don't care what it looks like, as long as it's a great game.
Now, I mean, what else? What else? In terms of gameplay, oh my God. I see time and time again, there's one, one side of people that they argue that they don't want the controllers to change. They want the same thing over and over. And then we have, on another side, we have a whole bunch of people saying that they don't care for the regular rehashes and stuff. They want innovation. So, guess what? I mean, if you want to innovate or you want innovation, you got to try out new stuff. You got to try out new ways how to play games, new ways of how to interact. And if you don't try it, you can't fucking assess or make judgment if it's good or not. Again, I know
there was a big, huge innovation this time, man, with the PS4. It now has a light.
Yes, it has a light on the controller.
Kills the battery in 4 hours.
And a small touchscreen. It has a small touchscreen. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe like 80% of the people were talking crap about the Wii U gamepad having a screen, yet they went completely ballistic when Sony put a little touchscreen that's only touch. It doesn't have any kind of screen at all. It's just a touch screen. Yeah. You have a PlayStation 4, right?
On swipes and shit like that.
Yeah.
What?
And they call that innovation.
What now?
You have a PlayStation 4, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I have all the major consoles, so.
Okay,
it's not
tell
like
me.
I'm biased. I play Xbox One, PS4, Wii U, yeah.
Okay. Now you tell me, please. This is a straight question. How many games can you count that innovate with that little touchscreen?
Maybe Killzone, the newest Killzone. That's the only one that comes to mind.
Okay.
You would do like commands with, and that's not really innovation. You were doing commands with the touchscreen. That's nothing the Wii U hasn't done already. So.
Yeah. So there you go.
99% of the games don't even use it. So.
I guess the point I'm trying to make is that you gotta be really open-minded to what is exactly that you want in a game. I know a lot of people call graphics and sound and stuff like that as being like a priority, but not for the sake of sacrificing gameplay and sacrificing, you know, content. It makes absolutely no sense.
Totally agree, man.
I believe that 30 years ago, just like right now, when you go and you pay $60 for a game,
Buddy. There you go.
You expect to get a full game for your $60 and get a really good, innovative game. I
totally agree, buddy.
I haven't got none of the recent, you know, consoles because, see, different from you or like you, I am very into PC gaming, and I love PC hardware and what it can do and how you can run certain games and stuff. So basically, if I want to be a graphics whore one day, I just sit down with Crysis or Bioshock or any of these games and just, you know, nerd out. So the proposal of Xbox, the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 is very less appealing to me than what it used to be years back.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people don't agree with that
because there's nothing that your PC can't do comparatively to the modern systems. The only thing they had going for it was easier to play. Well, now you can use those controllers now on the PC. I mean, you're not...
I have to correct you there. It's not only that everything that your PC can do, or everything that the PlayStation 4 can do, that your PC can do, but it can do it much better. And that's the whole point. If it can do it better, why, you know, shell out $200, $300 for another piece of hardware? It's going to do the same thing, or at a lesser quality. You know, what makes me
the exclusives, but those are fewer and farther between every time.
They're not there to be able to even make or state a case, and that is the problem. At this point in time, look back at the PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2. And count the time that the PlayStation 4 has been in the market. Now you go back in time and you tell me in that same amount of time how many exclusives the PlayStation 1 and 2 had up to that point. It would be like amazing.
Dozens.
You know? And that would make the system a lot more enticing.
Sure.
So to me,
ask you a question.
Oh my God, I'm splitting people up left and right here. Now I'm getting into the groove. Okay. Fatalities in Samurai Showdown is fucking amazing. I love it. Violence!
Special, right? You got to be playing 5 special, right?
Yep. I'm playing the special one. That's where you can get an opportunity to bathe in your opponent's blood when you finish. Yeah. Beautiful. It's beautiful.
So, what do you think about controls, man? Like, and not just controls, I meant experience. You were talking about controls, but how about the overall experience? I mean, you remember being younger and going to the arcades and seeing all the different arcade machines and the cutting-edge hardware and, you know, the atmosphere there of it. I mean, that's something you cannot replicate with common games. I mean, newer games.
Well, you have on one side, you have, if we're going to talk exclusively about the arcades, let's leave the consoles out of the argument for the sake of this question. Let's talk about arcade. There were games that, you know, stood the test of time and became instant classics that we don't need to name them all, because, you know, that if we find ourselves together in one place, we both are going to remember and recall the game. That's how influential they were. But then on the other side, you would find these games not so famous or successful that basically became a hit because of the hardware that they used. Like having like special moving cabinets and having like these like you remember I don't remember the name of the game, but I remember the arcade. You know, there was an arcade that was about boxing, and you used to have like the boxing gloves right there.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot remember.
Was it like Punch Out or what?
No. It wasn't Punch Out. I remember. See, I have a visual of this arcade cabinet. It was the standing cabinet, upright, and it had boxing gloves that you would like put your hands in, and you would like box with that.
Yeah.
I
don't
can't
remember that one, but
I can't remember.
Still, I get what you're saying. You can't replicate that.
Exactly. There's no way. There were some hardware makers out there that were really creative, and they stood out. Even if their games didn't stand the test of time, their arcade machines did. So I don't know if that answers your question, or you had something else in mind.
Well, kind of, sort of. I don't know, but like say we're talking about fighters, right? Well, I mean, what was your memory when, say, Street Fighter 2 came out? You know what I mean? The arcades had kind of waned at that time, and were coming back with the whole fighter revolution and stuff. Did you enjoy sitting at home on your Super Nintendo playing Street Fighter 2 against your friends more, or was it standing in line and watching everybody else play at the arcade? And you know what I mean? I remember like a guy throwing me in Street Fighter 2, and everybody's like, "Oh man, this is bullshit!" And he had to stand there until I went up there and threw him to make it fair. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Unspoken rules of the arcade,
That's something that could not be replicated. That same, at least on an emotional level, it's something that can't be replicated. You can try, but it's not going to be the same. However,
or like say, what you remember the first time you ever hopped into one of those Sega arcade cabinets? Like, I'm trying to think of it. Like, what was it called?
Jurassic Park?
Shooting game, help me out. Huh?
Jurassic Park, LA, what was the name of that one?
I mean, any of those, like, how about the airplane one? What was it called? On the tip of my tongue here, by Sega. It was for the Genesis. You sat inside a cockpit, and you were like an F1 fighter.
Yeah, Afterburner. Afterburner.
And you're pulling back on the control yoke, and you're like reclining back. I mean, those experiences were amazing. Or sitting next to another person and playing pole position side by side. I mean that's the kind of thing you can't replicate, man.
Well, I think us as gamers, we kind of figured that wasn't gonna be able to happen anytime. We weren't I think at the time we weren't looking forward to having something like that being replicated at home.
Sure.
So we settled in our minds. I think we settled with, it's okay if we have the game, because at least playing the game, I can remember when I used to go to the arcade to play it, and that's that's what basically everybody settled with. I can mention some more games like G-Lock. G-Lock was the one with the helicopter. That one had a badass cabinet, and another one. Oh my God!
But that's what I'm getting at. It was an experience. Every arcade was an experience. You know what I mean?
Power Drift, dude. Power Drift from Sega.
Ooh, yeah.
That had like that little
cool.
boogie thing, and you would get in, and that thing would like throw you around and stuff. That would be amazing, man.
Up and down to the sides, yeah. That was badass, man.
So there's.
What about that Sub Hunter? Remember that game? But maybe that's not the name. I just played it in the live stream.
Really?
You're a sub. It's a shoot 'em up horizontal game.
The one made from Irem?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
My brain's not working.
Into the Deep or something like that. I think it's.
Yeah, In the Deep. Have you seen that arcade? Like the marquee, it's a sub and it's below water, and it's got like water that's moving around in the and all the different lights and shit and the ambient sounds and stuff that come from that arcade. It's just amazing.
I haven't seen
That's my point, though. It's an experience, man. Like,
exactly.
I can play these games on MAME like Metal Slug, but when I have more fun is when I go downstairs in the basement and I stand in front of my real NVS arcade.
I mean, that's basically.
The controls are tighter, like I was saying. It's an experience,
Just like. Thanks to you and you sending me the X Arcade, at least I can replicate it to some extent. That same feeling, because
sure.
we want that. We want to have that same amount of control and accuracy, just like we had in the arcades. That has been replicated pretty well. Now, the feeling of being in an arcade and hanging out with your friends, that can't be replicated. I mean, you can invite your friends for some pizza and beer and play on the consoles, and it's going to be somewhat similar, but it's not going to be always, exactly the same. That's impossible.
Sure.
So, yeah. I think there's something, Aaron, that's very personal between the gamer and the arcade unit.
Oh my God!
Back in the day when we used to hang out in the arcades, it's like I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to sound too romantic about it, but it's like a relationship. You went there.
Well, it is, man. It's
and you had like a bond with the machine that you played with.
Money there, man, and not eating lunch just so I could go to the arcade and play the new games.
Yep. I had
That's something that people wouldn't understand now.
I had many a fights in the arcade with people who were sore losers. Yeah. Many a fights, many a memories, yeah. But that's the way it is. I mean, so what else, dude? Tam is giving me a bidding here.
Oh yeah. Well, I already done beat Metal Slug once. I'm going through it again. We were thinking, remember about how we were talking about, not just in arcades and that kind of thing, but, what about, like, couch multiplayer, playing with your friends at home? I mean, that's something that just doesn't exist really anymore. Aside from maybe, like, Halo or something, everything's online, I know people still have Halo LAN parties, but, in general, you don't sit there and play a fighting game with a friend or a shoot 'em up or a platform or anything like that anymore. I mean, that's lost, except for, Nintendo's still coming out with some multiplayer stuff, but I don't know. How do you feel about all that, man? I mean, I don't always want to just get on the internet and play with a bunch of 12-year-old kids, you know what I mean?
Especially when you don't have the same amount of contact and you have a lot of anonymous people just being, fucking mean and cursing you out and with racist slurs and oh my God. Yeah. And that would be in itself, it would be local multiplayer. I mean, it's something that I miss a lot. Thankfully, it's still somewhat alive with games like, let's say, Mario Kart or Sonic, Racer.
Sure.
Local multiplayer. Racer, yeah. It's something that it shouldn't die. It shouldn't die. It shouldn't be sacrificed for some other features, some less entertaining or less meaningful features.
Sure.
But people have lost interest for some reason in that aspect. Having local multiplayer, they feel more. I guess it's easier for a person to go online and not have to necessarily bond with anybody online or know that person online and simply play for a little while, then disconnect and go back to real life.
Sure.
But like you say,
I mean, it's like our Neo Geo Challenge videos, though. You know what I mean? I mean, we can play the games and watch how we're reacting, that kind of thing. But like, say we were playing Samurai Showdown yesterday, like in the Neo Geo Challenge. If we were actually playing together, you'd be kicking my ass up and down that game. And then you'd be able to see my, my responses and be able to throw insults and, you're sitting there physically right next to the person, I mean, that would be totally different,
Yeah, it is. It is. It's,
as fun as these experiences are, I don't think they're comparable.
I would dare to say that local multiplayer was the thing that actually bonded gamers into a community, Sure. I think local multiplayer is what actually made the term gamer become a reality. Because think about it. I mean, you would have your system, but the most joy that you would get out of the system is when you would play with your friends. Even if it was just one friend. But I remember, I have like so many good memories of playing local multiplayer, like in games like Turok Wars, GoldenEye, and these were like really, really raw.
Sure.
These were like really raw first person. Yeah, I mean it's Turok added that kind of like comedy element to it and time splitters a little bit forward in time, were games that were fun for local multiplayer because they added, like, you know, allowing you to be characters like animals and monkeys and stuff like that. So you add 2 and 2 together, and you can act like a monkey and be a monkey and shoot the monkey and decapitate the monkey, and, you know, a whole bunch of fun stuff would ensue. But you would have your friends right there, and, you know, it's something that I don't think for now online will be able to give to you. And now that we are moving more towards virtual reality, I don't know how that's gonna play. If it's something that's gonna catch on or it's gonna become mainstream. I
that's what that's gonna be.
Yeah, I love. I gotta say, even though I sound like an old fart that likes to fight, you know, and it's against everything that's new, that's not true. I mean, I am one of the most vocal person that supports new technology now, but I don't think that new technology,
you're a huge techie, man.
New technology shouldn't replace the human aspect of anything, and especially in gaming. In gaming, you should have your buddies playing with you. You should have fun playing. You shouldn't have to worry about stuff because it's entertainment. It's there to make you feel happy and give you a good time. It shouldn't be the other way around. So I don't know, man.
Totally agree, man.
I'm gonna be looking
How
into.
do you feel about the? Huh?
I'm gonna be looking. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be looking into. I was watching Simply Austin, the guy I recommended you on YouTube to check out.
Mm-hmm.
He's like all completely like fanboyish with RetroArch. RetroArch is another emulator slash user interface or graphical interface for, you know, playing multiple systems through emulation. And what he was talking about, the features that kind of like grabbed my attention, was the fact that all of those systems, they have a common network where you can actually play with other people online, multiplayer. So you wouldn't be having just Super Nintendo games or Sega Genesis games or arcade games, but you would be having them online with other people to play. So I'm going to be looking into that to see, you know, what it takes to set up and what exactly is it that we need. And if it's something that's worthy enough for us to change the hyperspin stuff and turn it into RetroArch, I gotta look more into it. So what you were gonna ask, buddy?
It'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, it would be pretty cool because it would give another meaning to our Neo Geo challenge. If you think about it,
Oh my god, yeah.
we could start actually competing, but we would have to get other people on board because of the fact that's emulation and it's not the real thing. So
yeah, that's a hard road to hoe with some people, especially Neo Geo people. Which is funny because we're both playing emulation of Neo Geo right now.
exactly.
So you know what I miss? I miss the console wars, man. Especially the 16-bit console wars, when every system was so much different, and every system had like a different, you know, I don't know. It's hard to explain, isn't it? It's like it had a different character about it, you know. I mean, Sega was edgier, and Nintendo was more, you know, family friendly. And I remember a Neo Geo ad, you know, it's been made famous now, and it had a picture of two like steel balls, and it said, "You need a pair of these to play one of these," and it had a picture of a Neo Geo.
The thing is, yeah, I remember one with a top hot dog or something like that. Well, one of those advertisements for a Neo Geo. That was crazy. I had like a poster with like a really huge hot dog, and it would say, you know, like Neo Geo is the top dog or something like that. Don't play with the wieners.
With the wieners, yeah.
That was there some really creative stuff to like get into people's heads, like to convince them that, you know, I have the better product.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
a better product, but was it worth $600 back in 1992
Ah.
or whatever, you know?
That's the thing. It used to be fun and it used to be really good because behind all of the marketing crap, there was an actual product that was, you know, worth getting into. You know, even Neo Geo, as expensive as it was, it still had, you know, qualities, things that would appeal to someone who actually had the money to buy it. Both Nintendo and Sega, you know, they were pioneers, and they both brought something substantial to the table. So there was something there that you would say, you know, regardless which one I pick, I know I'm going to have a good time.
Sure. I mean, the libraries were totally different. I mean, you've got, you know, like Sonic and Golden Axe and Kid Chameleon and Altered Beast. I mean, you just go on and on and on. The Sega, you know, Fantasy Star, and then on Super Nintendo, you know. I mean, you know Nintendo better than me, but, you know, you've got the Donkey Kongs, Mario, Zelda. I mean, just totally different cast of characters.
I've noticed a tendency lately of people, at least on the forums and online, kind of like are trying to change history for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know why people bother to try and change with opinion, try to change, you know, history, stuff that has actually happened. A lot of people denying the fact, or trying to deny for Nintendo what they did back in the day, back in 1983, 84. And they're trying to
saved it, man.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people. There's a large movement. Believe me. Look online, and you're gonna see them. You're gonna see traces of them. People that are actually online trying to make people understand or believe that no actual crash happened. That gaming was still alive and kicking back when Atari fucked it up for everybody. Now they make their arguments that at the time, consoles went down. Yes, it went down, but computer gaming kind of like filled the void for that. Now, I'm gonna come out straight and say it. You know, that's complete bullshit. It may have been that case, you know, in the UK, in some other, you know, country, Australia maybe, but not in the US, man. Come on, let's be honest here. In the US, Atari drove the industry to the ground. You know, it was basically that you would say console or video game back in the Atari days, you know, at the very end, and people would give you a fucking weird look, like, oh no, fuck that, I don't want to have anything to do with that. You know, no, get away from here. That's how bad it was. So it
was a fad that had passed.
Yeah, and it was kind of messed up. It was kind of messed up because there were. You had on one side, you had guys like people like that had Intellivision, that had ColecoVision, that had Magnavox Odyssey. Those were pretty nice platforms, but after the Atari debacle, it became like, no, you know, we got to get out of this ship as fast as possible because we're gonna sink. There's no more money here because people don't want us anymore.
I think there were more systems then too, man. I mean, you know, you had Coleco and Intellivision and Vectrex and Atari 2600, 5200. You had the computers, you know, you had Commodore 64, you had, I mean, it goes on and on and on. Amiga,
Commodore, MSX, you had a whole bunch. I mean, and not only... Let's go even back. Let's even go back further. At the same range of the 2600, you had like 20-something consoles that were just like Atari in the sense that they would play output games like Pong and tennis or hockey or something like that. And those were...
That's how Atari started, really.
Yeah.
I mean, in the home market, they were just making Pong systems.
Exactly. But there was a lot of competition. The problem was that basically with their expenditures and their crappy stuff at the very end of the life of 2600, it became, you know, they got too comfortable with making money and not paying too much attention to quality. And when you have a crappy product, exactly. See, thank you. You just...
I would argue we're on the verge of another crash, man.
There you go. That's what I was working up to. Because you combine to me, if you're gonna oversimplify the whole deal of the crash of '83, all you have to bear in mind is that you had a crash because you had an overly expensive product being crappy. Crappy, expensive. Crappy, expensive. That does not mix. Nobody wants to buy that. And people who do buy it will get tired of it and they're gonna let it go. So are we going down that path? Some might argue that yes.
Close,
yeah, we're getting pretty close.
There's a lot of saturation going on in the market, man, with all these Steam machines and PS4 and you know, the Xbox 360 is still around and kicking, the PS3, the Xbox One. I mean, the NX is getting ready to come out. You know, I mean, it's the market's gotten smaller since the demise of the Wii and all that, and there's more game systems to choose from. Fine for those gamer dollars, man.
The way I see it now, going further, 2016 and on, is that if Nintendo, and I'm praying to God that is the case, because everything that seems to be pointing towards the NX it seems to be very good and very encouraging. I don't know if you knew about this. I posted on my Facebook, but the information that came out, I think it was yesterday or the day before, where Macronix is doing the memory for the NX.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that.
Macronix is the people who actually did the memory units for the cartridges of, you know, Nintendo system in the past. And it has a lot of people thinking or questioning, could we go back to cartridges? And I'm like, hell yeah, why not? I mean, doesn't it seem appealing to you, you know, to get away from DVDs and CDs and go back to cartridges? No loading times, you know.
Yeah.
Somebody told me, like, but what
are you talking about the ColecoVision Chameleon?
What?
You haven't heard about that? They're calling it the ColecoVision Chameleon.
Oh, no. I'm not talking about the retro system. The retro system that's coming out that now Coleco bought. No. I'm talking about the news that came out that Macronix, a company that they make ROMs and memory units and stuff like that, sure. They are making they had like a forecast of all the memory business that they're going to be having in 2016, and they mentioned the new system, and they mentioned NX, that they're doing the memory ROMs for the NX. Now, if they're making memory ROMs, there's a good chance that they can be doing, you know, Nintendo could be going back to cartridges. Now, can you imagine that? That would be fucking insane, dude. You know,
it would be very different.
People who I have spoken about the issue tells me, like, no, but why would you want cartridges if they're so expensive to make? That's not the case anymore, friend. That's not the case. Back in the 64 days, yes, a memory chip would be, oh my god, incredibly expensive. But not even, don't even look at it that way. Look at it at the present. We have, as a format, we have Blu-ray, right? For our current games. If we have a cheaper to make format, you know, hosting our games, why are we still paying $60 fucking? Isn't it supposed to be like, I don't know, since it's cheaper, you know, $40, $45? No, we're still paying $60 again, plus the DLC. So if we would go back, if Nintendo would take us back to cartridges, it would mean zero loading time, zero patching, having to connect online to fucking patch, and basically having all the game run at a really good speed. You know, there would be no sacrifices made to the game. And look at all the SD cards and USB drives that are out there, you know, like 100 and something gigs, and look how cheap they are compared to a few years back. So I think there's some potential in it, even though that's not like a subject that we had in mind to discuss. But I wanted to throw it out there because it seems interesting. It seems interesting to me.
It's definitely different. I just don't know. I guess I'll believe it when I see it, I guess, with the whole cartridges thing again.
Yeah, it's kind of like wishful thinking, but at the same time, it does make sense if it did happen.
I mean, we're basically downloading the damn games to the machine now, like a damn PC.
Yep.
The whole reason to play consoles before, you know, was it was easier to set up, the time was less, all this kind of stuff. Now it's just like it was, you know, with PC. You know, I mean, you have to download the thing. I mean, I bought WWE 2016, right? Really fun wrestling game. I know you're not into wrestling anymore, but anyway, the damn game. It took me like an hour and 45 minutes to download the game to even begin the experience. You know what I mean? And that's unbelievable.
That's kind of messed up.
So, yeah. That's another reason I say why retro, man. Because I shouldn't have to wait forever and ever, you know, unless I'm playing a PlayStation game or, you know, need you a CD or something like that. But even that, the wait is not as long as they are now. That's ridiculous.
The other thing that might not be on the list, but it's a fairly good point, is that retro gaming at least allows us, if we take the emulation into consideration, you can game retro anywhere, basically anywhere now. You can. I mean, in my phone alone, I have so many systems, retro systems, that I can have access to, you know, and almost in the same capacity as I do on my PC. So there's no limitations in terms of where and how you can actually retro game. I think that's something that is very appealing to me, and why I kind of focus my streams for now to kind of showcasing the best that these retro consoles offer, because there's still a lot, like our friend Anthony likes to point out, there's no point of doing this if we don't introduce a newer generation of gamers what we used to love back.
Yeah,
exactly. So we cannot let it die off just like that.
You know, people need to understand. I mean, the way gaming is now is not what it used to be. It used to be about the gamer. You know what I mean? It used to be about the experience. I wrote down a thing out of a couple of my old whatchamacallits, out of my old manuals, a couple Sega Dreamcast manuals, I think actually shed some good light on this. You know, it says, you ever think about the undeniable satisfaction that goes along with finely tuned gameplay, brilliant game design, and visionary characters, games that make gamers proud to be gamers, profound games that instantly remind us why we ever started playing gaming in the first place.
Yep.
I mean, that experience right there is what we have to make sure carries on to the next generation. Because if not, we're going to be satisfied with the status quo that is gaming now. And that is bullshit. So, yeah.
That is very well put. I think I couldn't have said it better myself, man.
Well, I stole it out of a game booklet, so.
It still makes complete sense. I mean, it sounds like basically the way we feel. The only difference is that we kind of like put it into different words, but it's the same feeling, you know.
Sure.
I think everybody that any gamer that's worth its weight sees gaming in the same way that we see it, and you know, they value it in the same way that we value it. So it's not a matter of convincing us what we should or shouldn't appreciate, but more or less we have to be like the bearers, teaching the new kids around the block, you know, why it was so important to us, what made it so appealing and so great to be a gamer back then, and try to somehow maintain that.
The escapism was amazing. You know, I mean, if you're having a bad day, people are treating you like shit at work or school or whatever, what have you, you know what I mean? You can always come home and be the hero, you know what I mean?
Again, my friend, the variety of stuff that you could do was, you know, staggering. It was amazing. I mean, you had so many genres, so many styles of gameplay that you could basically try them all and still, you know, at this point in time, not be able to finish them all. That's how much.
Oh, sure.
That's how much depth there was in those kind of games. I mean, just just take for example, you know, just picking one game randomly. Phantasy Star on Genesis, Final Fantasy on Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Shenmue on Dreamcast. I mean, the role-playing game has changed so much and gave us so much and so many different styles. The strategy games, I mean, even though that was more genre of PC, but I don't know if you got to play. I know that AfroSoul and I, we went completely retard on those. The Final Fantasy Tactics. You know, that introduced to me. Yes, that was an amazing game. And it had, like, amazing story, amazing music, amazing everything. And we're talking about some little cute cartoon characters that would move around in squares to actually fight. So you see that it wasn't all about the graphics. It wasn't all about, you know, the high tech or the high def this or whatever. It was a fucking gameplay. That meant everything. And that should at least...
They complemented each other, you know? I mean, it was good graphics with great gameplay, you know what I mean? And that's what it has to be an immersive experience, you know? I mean, you can have an immersive experience without good graphics, but it helps, you know what I mean? But if the gameplay isn't there, you know, there's no point.
Exactly. When you would see a perfect, just, you know, just to, for sake of the conversation, if you find yourself with a retro, let's say, quote-unquote, 9 rated or 10 rated game, you would know for a fact that you have the best of all worlds. You have gameplay, you have music, you have story, you have graphics. Now, making the case for the opposite, let's take a game like Pit Fighter. Pit Fighter had fucking high-tech graphics at the time. It did I think a little better and a little sooner, the digitalized graphics thing, but that game was a piece of crap. I mean, yes, and it had amazing graphics, but the gameplay wasn't there, so you know, it kind of sunk. So there you go. You know, graphics on itself cannot hold if you don't have meaningful gameplay behind it. That's it. That's like.
Totally agree, man.
And damn, Amakusa is fucking kicking my ass so hard. I'm gonna have to switch character. I'm gonna use Balfour now.
I'm killing General Morton for the second time here.
But I made a lot of stops, man. I gotta get used to talking and playing at the same time.
Yeah, that's tough, man. I kind of zoned out a couple times. We'll get better at it.
Yeah.
We'll get better at it. I'll have to play a horrible game like, you know, Samurai Showdown or something next time.
Oh, really?
I'm kidding!
Oh,
Samurai
really?
Showdown's fucking amazing.
Well, guys, you heard it. You heard it. I'm going to have proof because I'm going to download it. So I can use it to, I don't know. I'll do something. I'll work with something. I'll do like a soundbite or something that I could add to the stream.
You're crazy. You're crazy. We were talking about soundtracks and stuff. Do you remember the soundtrack for Secrets of Mana?
Oh, yeah.
Or Final Fantasy 3? Oh, my God.
Yep.
Music was unbelievably beautiful, man. It doesn't matter when I hear any of those songs. It transports me back in time. Completely. So, I don't know if you get that feeling, but I sure do.
It's very sad. It's very sad when we talk about Final Fantasy that there are so many fans out there of Final Fantasy, and not all of them have actually played Final Fantasy 2 and 3. You know, and that's like...
Oh, my God.
I don't know. I really, I mean, I'm biased, I guess, but I cannot call myself a Final Fantasy, you know, fanatic if I haven't played those games. It's like those were the ones that made it.
Sure. Hell, even Sega. I mean, Phantasy Star 3. Oh my God.
And Shining Force,
music
man.
was beautiful.
Shining Force. That was another action.
Force? Oh yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, I haven't played that in probably 20 years. Damn good game. And that was turn-based, right?
Yep.
Tons of fun.
Shining
That
Force.
whole series kind of died back in the Saturn days, huh?
Shining Force was more of a action RPG than anything else, but it was really good. The characters that they created for that game was like second to none, man. I'm gonna have to go into a shooter here. I'm gonna go into a shooter here.
You're going into a shooter, so what should I do? Go into a fighting game?
You play whatever the hell you want. You asking me about that? Like, what should I play? You play whatever you want, dude.
It took me 15 continues this time. It's crazy, man. Crazy.
Well, we already know that this works. We already know how to make it work, so this shouldn't be an issue. I'm gonna have to do something to lower my bitrate because ever since we started, I've lost a ton of frames on my side. So if I wanted to record this, it would have ended up looking like crap. So yeah,
I didn't record it. I probably should have.
Ubu apparently takes a lot of bandwidth. It could be also that since I have my webcam inside of Ubu at a higher resolution, it might be kind of like hogging the bandwidth, but
could be.
At least all we have to worry about for now is now bringing content, that people might be interested in us talking about, and we'll take it from there. At least we have something to set like a precedent, and we're like going for it. And then I can bring in some sound bites, created sound bites I could use to troll you with. Like that little comment about Samurai Show. Yeah, like that comment you made about Samurai Showdown. I'm gonna turn that into a sound bite. I'm gonna bring it up when I'm doing the Samurai Showdown retrospective. I'm gonna bring it up. And listen what this guy had to say. Aaron, Classic Gamer. Oh, I gotta play sucky fighter.
Say what I freaking meant.
Yeah.
And not be a douchebag.
That's gonna be good.
I'm gonna have to encourage everybody I know to unsubscribe from Noel's YouTube channel.
Guess which one? Guess which one I'm playing now.
Samurai Showdown 3.
Nope. I'm playing Polestar. I'm playing Polestar.
Polestar. Oh,
yes.
That's a good one. I just loaded up Final Fight, which was Nintendo's answer via Capcom to the overwhelming power that was Streets of Rage.
Right. You have a twisted. You have a twisted. You have a little twisted sense of. You have a little twisted sense of history, Aaron, that we need to talk about later. Because I don't know. There's something wrong there. There's something wrong. No, I'm kidding, man. Now, why am I not getting any sound? Now, that is weird.
Are you getting no sound from me or no sound from you?
No, no sound from the game. I think I went a little too... Oh, yes, because it went down to 0. Of course, I'm not going to hear the game.
You turned it down a little too much.
Yeah.
Relic Outlaws.
Oh, shit, I still can't hear it. Oh, boy.
Not good, dude.
Not good at all. I wonder.
Once you finish your crisis here, I'm going to ask you your opinion on beat 'em ups.
What crisis?
Well, being able to hear everything.
I can hear everything. I just can't hear the game. That's all. Let me.
I was going to say, so there were 3 beat 'em ups that came out at the same time. Different, game consoles, if you will. So Nintendo had Final Fight. Sega had Streets of Rage, and then Burning Fight came out for the Neo Geo. What would you think is the best out of
Okay, you're talking about Final Fight Final Fight. Which one? What was the other one? Final Fight. Streets of Rage.
And Burning Fight for the Neo Geo.
Well, if we're gonna take, if it's the first iteration of each franchise, I would go with Streets of Rage. I would go with Streets of Rage.
Nice.
Yeah. Streets of Rage did a lot for that genre because it gave. We had Yuzo Kushido or something like that. That was his name, the musician behind the series, and that guy was an amazing musician. I mean, he made some of the most memorable tracks, background, music to those type of games. The game in itself, it was, to me, it was a little higher above what Capcom, brought to the table with Final Fight in terms of mechanics and everything. Everything just, clicked. So
if I thought it was a deeper game, I would give the graphics, probably to Final Fight, but for actual fun factor though, I'd give it to Streets of Rage.
Yeah, I mean, Final Fight was really, really nicely done on the Super Nintendo because it was pretty much arcade accurate. Of course, you didn't have that same situation with Streets of Rage because there wasn't a Streets of Rage arcade. So, they had an advantage there. But overall, to me, in my opinion, Streets of Rage, I felt it was more cohesive as a beat-em-up and did more for the system than what Final Fight did for the Super Nintendo. I know that Final Fight... my point is that on the Super Nintendo, you needed to go a little further to actually use the system's power and features and stuff, and Final Fight didn't quite do it, especially when you had a character short, because you didn't get to play as Guy. You only played as Hagar and Cody. Then later on they came with the Final Fight Guy, which it was like redundant at that point. Why bother at that point? But yeah, that would be my choice.
Streets of Rage gave birth to Streets of Rage 2, man, which is, it's up there in the top 2 or 3 of beat 'em ups of all time, I would argue.
But as of late, my friend, I have been experiencing some incredible beat 'em ups, at least on the arcade side. Because basically, after let's say. After the PlayStation 1, maybe? Around that time, beat-em-ups basically died. I mean, they just disappeared from the face of the earth. With the little exception...
There was a few, like Dynamite Cop for the Dreamcast and stuff, but not a lot, you're right.
There wasn't a presence. It wasn't considered as a genre anymore, because there wasn't people, putting them out. With the only exception being Atomic Wave, when they came out with... Demolish Fist, but that one even didn't that didn't even make a mark. That didn't even make a dent when it came out. So it died off. But in the arcade, you have so many incredible beat 'em ups. I mean, you've seen a few of them that I played, and really, really good stuff.
What do you feel about Cadillacs and Dinosaurs? That's one of my favorites.
It's really good because Capcom has always had a way with colors. I mean, their arcade board, the CPS2, which was basically the one used for all of those games, including Alien vs. Predator, which was a pretty good beat 'em up, really fun.
That was fun.
Cadillacs, they had Captain Commando, they had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So yeah, Capcom basically.
No, that was Konami.
Right. You're right. I'm sorry, I got those mixed up. But yeah, that's true. But Capcom had a really, really good way of bringing the beat 'em ups to, to the market, and they would use. They had best of both worlds because they had like licensed stuff like Alien vs. Predator, and they would have original stuff like Captain Commando. So they had a pretty good balance, man. Capcom was the shit back in the day, man. Back in the day.
Indeed.
I have to reiterate. Back in the day.
We're relics, man. We're relics.
So Relic Outlaws. Pew 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 pew.
What'd you think about bang bang? What'd you
Bang,
think
bang.
about the big four beat 'em ups for arcade by Konami? You had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time,
Hold on.
X-Men, and The Simpsons. Those were licensed properties. What did you think about those?
Konami had a good grasp on licensed material as well, because they had a whole bunch of hits in the arcade and on the consoles. Konami, Capcom, and so many others, Square, Enix, both separate as companies, Sunsoft, they were amazing back in the day. What else? Like the top tier of that time? Jesus, Jalico, Data East, Data West. They were all incredible companies, but Capcom, Konami, Square, Enix, they were like the top dogs.
Yeah, I'd say Data East was up there, but
Yeah.
it wasn't a Konami or a Capcom, that's for sure.
But they did have moderate to really good success on the arcade side, so they had at least some certain level of pedigree coming into the consoles. And even if their games weren't like triple A, they were pretty close. They were pretty up there, you know. But those companies, they died off. Konami, on the other hand, they were like, they didn't skip a beat. They were like there, and they would come out with something even more innovative.
They had the RPGs, the action games. Oh man, so many things.
They just got fucking greedy, man. That's the only thing I can say in that regard. They got too greedy.
I forgot where they came from, man.
Yeah, and that's very unfortunate. I mean,
they shit away all their IPs, man. Castlevania, and I mean, it just keeps going on and on. I mean, I could, go on all day. I mean, they had really fun games like Sunset Riders. They had all these different things, and they never expanded on those series.
yep.
Or when they did, they lost the essence of what the game was all about to begin with.
It's very unfortunate, but the fact is that there came a time where mid-tier companies, like the ones we just mentioned, Data East and Data West and Jalico and some other companies, there wasn't any room for them anymore. When the new system, the 32-bit onward, started coming around, all of those had to just either merge with bigger companies or just stop doing what they did, because there wasn't a market for them anymore. So
Bandai, Namco, they combined to make Namco Bandai.
But those are like humongous companies. We're talking about huge companies from Japan. Those were never going to die away because they had strong ties with anime and manga in Japan. So they were pretty solid. But the other ones, like Sunsoft to me is like a really good example. Sunsoft, they had like some of the best games on the NES. They had Batman 2, real classics that were licensed, but they were like freaking amazing. And then around the time where the PlayStation 2 came out, they all but disappeared. We started seeing some stuff from them come into like the Xbox Live and the Wii eShop, but it's like it's limited to that because they couldn't afford it. And now we're starting to see those companies, those mid-tiers. Hudson Soft was huge as well because they were the one that basically carried the TurboGrafx when it came out. And then afterwards, they were smart. Hudson Soft were really, really intelligent because they had their own platform. Back in the day, they had TurboGrafx, but they were still licensing games for Sega and for Nintendo. So they weren't like all proud and shit going like, no, I'm not going to have my games on your system. Hey, fuck it. Whatever system.
They did the same thing, man. They had Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, 3DO games.
You want our games? Just pay for it. I don't give a fuck. Yeah. Take it. Have it over. Yeah. What do you want? You want some, what was this called? Oh my God. Adventure Island? You want some Adventure Island? Fuck it. Take it. We got one. We'll make a super for you. And, that was some really good.
I miss Adventure Island. That was a great game.
they had some really good franchises, but if you ask me where they are right now, I have no fucking clue, man. I don't know what if they turn into another company, or I don't know.
I don't
really
know if
don't.
they even exist anymore, man.
What I do know, and with this, I think, let me see, because I think my hyperspin just crapped out on me. I think it was skipping so many frames that it decided to skip all the game, you know, at the same time.
Oh no.
Okay, let me try with Blazing Star and see what happens.
Blazing Star. I love that game. One of my favorite shooters of all time. I got 781,000 today when I was playing on main.
See, I'm not getting any sound.
Weird, man.
There you go. Came back. Okay. Blazing Star.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Well, I'm gonna play a short game of Blazing Star, and then I think I'm gonna call it a night.
Sounds good, buddy.
I think
through Final Fight, but I played Metal Slug twice.
At least on my side, I'm betting that your side was much more entertaining than mine, because mine had a lot of blank screen in it. Because I had to be like stopping the game to talk and shit, but I guess I'll get used to it.
We'll get better at it, buddy, as it goes. But next time we'll advertise and shit. Once you have the logo ready, I'll be able to insert this here, and you won't be able to see the top of the Ubu.
Actually, we have.
I hit the bottom of it so you can't see the logo.
When you see mine, when you go to when you go to the video manager and you go and check my channel, you're gonna see that my stream actually has the prototype logo of us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's right underneath our webcams right there, without any name, because that's gonna be like the mystery part of it.
Yeah. See, I've actually got Relic Outlaws on my thing here.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So there you go. We're like the complete pieces of the puzzle. You come to my side and you see the logo. You go to Aaron's side and you see the name. So there you go. Yes.
I was going to ask you. I need to figure out how to change my cover art on YouTube, man. It won't let me add any pictures because it's I don't know.
I have a Photoshop template that has the exact size for YouTube art, and as long as your image matches that size, it's always gonna look beautiful. So the thing is that you don't have. I could send you the measurements of how big the picture needs to be, but the template, if you don't have Photoshop, you're not gonna be able to open it. So I'll probably text you the size of the image. It has to be a specific size so it can stretch.
Sure. Even if I could find like a generic gaming picture, it'd be better than like mountains or whatever the hell I got right now.
Yeah, you have a peaceful tropical setting in the background.
Oh yeah, I think I changed it to like mountains last week or something. I don't know.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So you changed the beach for hiking now.
Yeah, apparently. I'd still take the beach.
How about if I add?
You got some of those beautiful beaches in the world, man. What would you rather be doing? Sitting on a beach or hiking?
I mean, if you're gonna have a beach setting and it's not gonna have like any babes in bikinis, I think I would go with the hiking stuff. To be honest, yeah. Because beaches, you know, I'm from Puerto Rico, so I'm kind of like already spent and bored of beaches and stuff. But the babes, oh yeah, the babes. You can always have the babes. I hope.
The closest I can get is I have to drive up near Chicago, near the wasteland that is Gary, which like pretty much resembles Detroit if you're not familiar with it. And go to the dunes. and you get to watch all the floating trash and the smog over Chicago. That's my beach.
Wow. I can't imagine the amount of enemies you just made with that statement. Wow. I don't know the guy, for real. We just met here on Twitch and we started doing this shit. I have no idea. So, okay. I made my disclaimer. I don't want any terrorist attacks on my studio.
I don't think anybody would dispute that Gary is a wasteland. I was driving through there last time. Actually had like the apartment complexes and shit. They had bars on their windows up to the 4th floor.
Holy crap. That's messed up, dude.
Yeah. Their criminals can really either climb or jump or have really nice ladders. I'm not quite sure.
Begs the question if the people who are inside were trying to avoid escaping outside, or if they were trying to not let people get in. You still don't know which one is which, so.
You'd probably be pretty screwed if there was a fire, man. You would literally be locked in and burned.
That's messed up.
Oh, yeah.
If I was gonna go that way, at least I would at least electrify the fence. You know, kind of like make it, you know, go all out. I mean, if you're making it that high, might as well electrify it.
You want to know all about that.
Yeah. It's kind of like it's kind of like a surprise snowball. You know, you don't know there's gonna be a rock inside, but once you find out, oh shit, it's too late. It's already too late. You've been hit, smack right in the center of the forehead. That's it. Blood rushing down. You know, pretty intense stuff. Yeah.
So, totally off subject. I was gonna ask you what you think of that Steam controller. Controller.
Visually, I get off. It gives me an impression that what it offers, it has to do pretty well, because the whole thing about using the pads as a mouse device, I think that it has to work pretty good. And for first-person shooters, I'm willing to bet that it's pretty awesome. I would like to have it just to, you know, have something different. Because it does seem to be innovative. You know, that's something that has never been done before. And coming from Valve, I don't doubt that it's a pretty high quality thing.
Yeah.
Is it gonna offer you what you want?
Also, the new Xbox One Elite controller. Have you seen that?
Yeah. That seems to be pretty high quality as well, but it's just too expensive for what it offers. So.
Yeah, it's like $150, but all the stuff is interchangeable, like the D-pad and the thumbsticks and stuff. That's kind of cool.
And no, but
it has like toggles on the back of the controller.
It is expensive, but to make matters worse, it's just like one print, so it's extremely rare. So now you're gonna have to pay probably in the next few months like double for the same controller. Because they're not talking about making.
Good for fighters, that D-pad.
Yeah. I would have it. The only reason I would pick one up, having the money for it, would be to play like RPGs or, you know, first-person shooters, RPGs like Fallout, something along those lines. But I don't know. I wouldn't justify having that controller for any other genre that already the Xbox One controller can, you know, it can actually do it. So there's not really a lot of reasons for me to pick it up. And
I actually prefer the Xbox 360 controller to the Xbox One.
And if you know, single it out through, you know, like talking about genres, if you talk about first-person shooters, okay, you can go good, you can do well with that one, but for fighters, no way. Fighters, arcade stick. If you want driving games,
I totally agree, but
you want to steer
tell
wheel.
you what they say, Not everybody has the luxury of an awesome X-Arcade dual stick in their Puerto Rican house.
You're trying to bait me somehow, and I'm not going to give you the pleasure. So, because I will get back at you. I'm just going to be quiet about it. That's all. So yeah, this is like the first collab test, quote unquote test, of us tag teaming against the fucking world. Aaron Classic Gamer and Htaed7 here from RCT. So I'm gonna start by saying goodbye. I'm getting the fuck out and seeing what kind of mess I have in Twitch right now. And yeah, next time around we will have.
I don't even imagine what mine looks like. But I gotta say, guys, if you do watch this on YouTube, remember to like, subscribe, check out our channels. I think we feature each other on our YouTube channels. Check us out on YouTube, Twitch, Hitbox, Twitter. What else can I say? Remember to like, subscribe, and comment. It's always happy gaming, man. This is Relic Outlaws. This is our first show, so next time will be better. Peace out. Rock on, guys.
Yeah.
I'm at the end of my game. He's at the end of his game. We're going to have a good one.
Take care, guys. Thanks for watching.
Happy gaming.